What's going on, guys? It's Cal here from Sabers, and I thought I would do a little video now that I've got some of these episode 9 conversion kits set up and ready to go. Initially I won't have too much to put on there, maybe just like 100 sets and 100 of the conversion kits themselves, but I'm making more, so you don't have to worry about missing out. I'll just continually make them, so it's fine. There just might be a wait in between. So basically there's got to be two types of kit options. You've got your full kit, which is basically everything you see here, the accessories and a full Graflex hilt. Basically these are the grade B uppers that I had, so they don't have the, you see the buttons aren't perfectly parallel, and like the glass eye bump isn't perfectly parallel. As you can see, it's about 1 millimeter out and about 1 millimeter out there. Obviously that might not matter to some people. For accuracy buffs, you could say that that's a detail that can be a bit of an eyesore for them, but since you're going to be sort of carving these channels in, these weld marks or scorch marks, it's a good alternative so that you don't use like a more expensive replica or even a vintage, so you can just sort of go to town on this. So you'll have this option, which is like everything here, all the accessories and the lower half, and then you have an option that's basically just this, which is your conversion kit. So you get the clamp assembly, so outer sleeve, inner sleeve, control box, all injection molded grips and the steel belt clip, and then you get the bottom, which is obviously pre-vented for sound. So quite a good alternative if you want to do an FX conversion. You might just need the conversion kit, and you might have a TGS Graflex or Roman's Graflex, or even a vintage if you did want to do that, if you did want to take the Dremel to the vintage or weld your vintage to get those accurate scorch marks. But like I said, there's options. So I've just got the full kit here, so I've got about 100 of these sets ready. It just twists on like that. You have these little adjuster screws in here for adjusting the tension of the twist and lock mechanism. They're nylon tipped grub screws, but I'll talk a little bit about that more later. So yeah, if we just put the Graflex aside for now, so like I said, you've got the clamp assembly, you've got the plastic grips, which are screen accurate, and the belt clip. These are just held on with 3M adhesive tape, so you can pry these up if you wanted to, and these are screwed on, so you can unscrew this and the belt clip will come off should you want to transfer them onto something else and maybe use the Graflex bottom for a different project. I'm not sure, because the grips, when you put them on, they'll still cover these tapped holes, so you wouldn't even know really. And yeah, they've also got the holes to allow some sound to come out. And you've got your bag of accessories. There's quite a lot of accessories, but we'll go through them now. We've got a pre-laser cut piece of leather. It's a genuine cowhide, and it matches the grain very nicely of the screen use prop. So this is genuine leather, all pre-cut. So you would just get some contact adhesive, which I'll show later, and you'd attach that onto the clamp and wrap this round obviously as well. So you've got that. You've also got 2 pommel caps, which I'll show you how to attach on later. I just use this is just like double-sided carpet tape sort of thing. So I just stick it on, I cut around it, and you can peel it off, and it's really nicely strong stick, strong adhesive on there. So I've got a blank one if you wanted to just have it blank, or I've got one that has the same notches for the sound holes. So if you imagine you've got your sound holes there, it allows the sound to still come out as loud as possible. So a good alternative if you've got an FX conversion that you're doing, which is probably what most of you are going to end up doing. You've got a weathering stencil, which you wrap around your Graflex upper to do the weathering. It's got 2 layers, so you've got one to do the weld marks, and you peel the outside off again, and that's like the scorching marks, like the heat scorch, which you can do with paint if you wanted to, or if you really wanted to try and you're good at welding, you could do actual TIG weld marks, and just those natural grey scorch marks will come with it, which is obviously the most screen accurate way of doing it to really replicate how the welding process takes place. For a long time, even with previous Graflex projects, I'd always wanted to make dummy rivets, so rivets that you wouldn't need to cut, rivets that you wouldn't need to rivet in and then sand them from the inside. So these are just some dummy rivets, and what you do with them is you get a little set of them for the grips, is you can just take some CA glue, or you can use JB Weld or whatever you want to use, and you can just put them in there. They're quite a snug fit already, but there's one in there like that. I mean, they might all already be a snug fit, but if you need to add a little bit of glue, you can. So let me check this first. That one's a nice snug fit. Might empty these out of my hand a bit easier. So this video is basically going to be just like a bit of a guide or walkthrough as to how you can set up your kit once you receive it. So that is a nice snug fit again, but they're definitely not going to fall out. Let's put this one in. Snug fit again. And this just saves so much time in terms of rivets. And there's holes on the Graflex anyway under the grips, and there's holes in these, so that lets even more sound out. And you've got the belt clip one, maybe the belt clip one. Yeah, the belt clip one's loose in there, so we'll need to glue that one in. But for the grips, they went on there just push fit really, and we'll just use some CA glue or JB Weld and put that one on. So I'll put that to one side for now, that little one. I guess I don't need this bag anymore. Let's put that there maybe. Then also you get the dummy clamp rivets. So these are these tiny little dummy rivets here that allow you to put them on the clamp, but you still have access to take them off. So you've got them like that. I put them on with the clamp off, and then if there is any sort of protrusion, it'll be so minimal you can just take a sanding drum and make it smooth. So I put those on with JB Weld, and the JB Weld that I use is just like, the reason why I've got it on a bit of card is because it's oozing a little bit, but I use this, I think it's just the JB Weld original, like the original cold weld. That will need 24 hours to dry, so you want to make sure that you leave that to dry overnight, because you'll get the best sort of results by doing that. So put those back in the bag, because I'll be doing that later with you guys. I'm basically winging this. I haven't planned this video before. This is exactly how it's going to be. I'm going to be doing this right along with you, just as if you got the kit. And then you get an accurate clamp card, which is bang on to the reference material, and you get 4 magnets. Now, it might be a bit difficult to see, but you got 2.2. You've got 2 pieces of 0.5mm magnets, and you've got 2 3mm magnets. So these ones, they're both 3mm out of diameter, but one of them are 0.5 mil each, and 2 of them are 0.5 mil. So you want to, that's 2 that I've just taken away. And basically what you want to do is, in your activation box, you want to pop those in there. There's one, and there's the other. And you probably want to put just a little dab of glue in the bottom of them so that they stay in place. And then you want to get your 0.5mm magnets, put them on top, like so. So we'll take one off. There's the other one. So you see they're both on there now. And then you'll put like 2 little drops of glue, probably CA glue. I recommend roughing up the back of this to make for better adhesion. And then you just want to pop it on and then just let it dry. And let it dry all the way, because then what will happen is when you pull this off, it will bring those 2 magnets with it, and it's easy to put back in place when you're done. And it will leave just a tiny gap here so that you can pry it off with your nail. So we'll be showing that as well at some point in the video. So there's that. And that is everything in the kit. That's all that you need. So we're going to go through how to CA glue those magnets on, how to JB Weld the clamp rivets on, and then we're also, for the first time, because I've been doing some welding experiments, we are going to Dremel these weld marks on and see what type of results we get. So I think what we'll start off by doing is preparing the JB Weld to put the clamp rivets on, and then we can crack on with doing the Dremeling. Okay, right, so I think it's best to get the biggest job out of the way first. So I'm going to start with the weathering stencil. So I've got my rotary carver bit, which will give me those nice sort of craters, like as if it was TIG welded. So I don't have a TIG welder here, so I'm gonna have to figure that out. So what I want to do is first I want to mark the outline of the clamp, because if you look at the stencil, you've got these marks here which are telling you where the clamp is, and this particular weathering mark is what goes sort of in line with the button strip. So it's kind of like, if you see here where the lining is, kind of goes around like that. So I'm just going to take an indelible pen and I'm just going to mark along here, and that's just so I know where the clamp is basically. So when I apply the stencil, it gives me the right idea. So I'll take that off. Right, and now we don't need that right now. So we've got the mark of where the pattern is, and we'll just peel the stencil off very carefully, like so. And you want it the sticky side, obviously. And you just want to line this up with that mark. So if how do I do this? Basically there. I just want to make sure that's parallel. It's a little bit wonky, Let's try this again. And that looks pretty parallel to me. Oh, just lost it. That looks pretty straight. And we'll just rub it down like that. If it's not perfectly parallel, it's not a huge deal in terms of the stencil. And just begin to peel this edge so that we don't overlap it. And then let's bring this around nice and straight. Not too bad, maybe about a millimetre out or so. And we'll just peel the stencil off. Take a look here. We've got a nice line up with the indelible marker. Little bubble there. Wipe that out. Oh, I was about 1.5 mil off a little bit. But like I said, it's just the stencil, so I want to make sure that's nice and stuck on there. And what we're going to do is we're going to get this little tool piece, and we're just going to take very light touches in the area of the stencil, and hopefully that should be enough to give us the look that we want to give. So here goes nothing. There we have it, guys. I think that is it. And as you can see, we've got our secondary line, which we can use for weathering and painting. So I'm just going to start peeling that off, that second stencil. So let's come in there. Bit by bit, we just want to peel that off. And I'll probably mix some, maybe some weathering paints or something to try and get that smoky colour, as if it was burnt, really, as if it had succumbed to the elements, or not the elements, a welding torch. What am I talking about? Peel this off, and you will get loads of brass shavings everywhere, but it's all good. You just hoover that up. No big deal. And that one there. So that'll be the painting marks, the greyish sort of marks that we'll add later. And yeah, you can see you get like these nice craters using that particular bit, and it sort of looks like welding marks. And what you can do as well, you can get some, maybe some brass black to age this a bit. I might do that on mine. And yeah, I mean, when you put the clamp back on, let's have a look. So this one. Line that up. Yeah, looks really good. All the marks are there, nice and accurate. So we'll put this to one side now, and we'll begin the next stage, which will be preparing how this clamp needs to look. So because I'm working with JB Weld, I just want to make sure I have some gloves on, because it can be a bit messy sometimes, and I'd rather not get this stuff on my fingers. Anytime I'm using sort of glue, I like to wear some gloves, but because latex gloves are in low demand at the minute, I haven't got any disposable gloves, but these will do. So we're going to get equal parts of JB Weld. Probably only need that much. And we've got the hardener. I've already got it on the glove, and then we're just going to get something to mix the two. I've just got this old brass rod, really. And it's just shaking the table. I'll lift it off the table. Mix that until you get this sort of like greyish colour, like that. Put these back on there now, and we're going to get the little clamp dummy rivets. I'm just going to put them here actually. There we go. In fact, I might take my gloves off this just to make sure I get a good grip. So take these off. And we're going to begin putting these on. So I'm going to use some tweezers, and I'm probably going to maybe dip it in there to get them on. So that one's in. And I'm just going to make sure some JB Weld goes around it. So hopefully that's in there nice and tight. Maybe I should put a bit more in there. Let's see. I get a bit of just tissue or something. Wipe these tweezers. I might want a bit more on there just to make sure it stays on there nicely. So like this. Yeah, that should do it. Yeah, that's better. So that first one's on, and if it oozes, it doesn't matter. You can just poke something through it. I think I've got a bit of old wire here. So that way, I'll probably shorten that wire to make my life a bit easier. Let me just shorten this wire a bit, and then I can use this for just passing through the hole, so that it doesn't clog up the hole. So you still get that nice pass through. So we've got that one on, and I probably want to get some tissue as well, just so that I can wipe away any excess. So I've just got some blue tissue roll here, and I'll just wipe away anything. So it's nice and clean, and we'll do the next one. So now we've got all the rivets on, and we'll let that dry overnight, and you'll see that you might get a little bit of a protrusion, but it'd be very easy to sand. Just quick hit with the sanding drum, and that will make sure the clamp fits on there nicely. And next, what we can do is we can start preparing the leather. So I just use some, it's called Uhu. No, not Uhu, sorry, Evo Stick Impact Contact Adhesive. So I'm just gonna get some of this, and I'm gonna apply a line on there. Ooh, good thing about this, it can easily wipe off. I'm gonna put a line on here. That's one thing I like about contact adhesive. It's very forgiving, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move this away, move that one away, and I was going to get some sort of, maybe like, I'll just use this old bag really. I can put it on my finger. In fact, I've got a smaller bag, and that way I won't get it on my finger, and I'll just wipe that on here. Just to spread it all over the back side of the leather. And I've got no glue on my finger. I'll throw this away now. Then I'll get another piece of tissue, and I'll transfer it over. Let's do this. Let that contact adhesive begin to sort of cure a little bit. So you can also blow on it, and it will start to go a bit cloudy. Go. Literally after about maybe a minute or so of applying the contact adhesive, it will start to get tacky, and that's when you can sort of pick it up and just begin to put it in place. So push this down a bit. So you see, when I say it's forgiving, you can sort of like rub your hands together and it comes off, if that makes sense. I think I'll put my pair of gloves on just so I don't get it on my hands. And if you've got disposable gloves, that'll be a lot easier. But now I can just sort of do this. Put that on there, push that down, tuck it up to the control box so we get a nice seam. And even if you see these marks of the glue, you can just literally Do you see what's happening? You just wipe them away, because that's what the contact adhesive is like. It's not like a crazy permanent bond. Doesn't cause glue frost or anything like you might get with super glue, especially on things like materials like leather, natural materials. Just use the rubber of my glove to clean that. This can all be done after anyway. And then we'll get the middle strap, and we'll just put it in the first notch, and we'll just make sure that we get somewhat of an even gap between the two. So we've got it a bit too tight, so we want to just do that, and then we can work out any wrinkles just by massaging the leather. As you can see, it looked like it was too long, but it was just not forced down enough. So bring that up here, move this around. That's what I do with my hand. Just rock it like that. And then we can look at any excess that comes out. So it looks pretty clean now. Looks pretty nice. A little bit of excess there. Just rub that with my finger, and it'll come off just like that. So that's gone. This is what I mean about the contact adhesive. It's, if you get any ooze or anything like that, it's just easy to sort out. Very easy. And look at that. We've got genuine leather on our clamp now. So that needs to come down a little bit, I think. Make it a bit even. And this one comes up a little bit more. Yeah, nice. So now we're going to let the contact adhesive dry, and then we'll clean off any bits after, once that's dry. Well, that came off very easily just then. And yeah, looks good. Very happy with that. Now, take my gloves off. We'll secure the magnets. So we're going to get some cyanacrylate glue, just like Loctite glue. And I've just dropped the magnets, but I can hear they're close by. They drop just by my feet. Always work on a flat surface, guys, otherwise you'll drive yourself insane. So, in fact, it's a bit easier like this. So, I'm going to put a drop of glue in the bottom of each hole, and I'm going to do that just by... It's better if you have a precision nozzle. So, I unfortunately do not have a precision nozzle because I've used this so much, but I'm going to put it on the bottom of the magnet. So let me have a look here. Maybe I can zoom in a bit. I'm going to put a drop like that. That'll do. Put a little drop on there, and I'll push that in. Take that away, the magnet. And I will just push with my bottom of my pin. Just make sure it's in there nicely. Yeah. And that magnet won't go anywhere. So it's got I've got the clamp card magnet on here still. I'll just put that one on top of here so I can grab it. So I can grab it easily. Let's get another drop. So the surface tension sort of makes it like a little droplet. I'll take these clamp magnets off now. Now those magnets are in. the magnets are in. I've wiped off any excess. Just make sure it's on there nice and flat. You can even if you've got like a little I think they're called punches, you can just give it a little tap to make sure it's in there nicely. Yep, I think that's in there nice and secure, those magnets. And then I'm going to put one of the 1/2 mil ones on, and the other one on. So now they're both on there, as you can see. And I'm going to put another drop on them both. But first, I'm going to rough up the bottom of my clamp card. Because if I rough it up, it makes the join on the glue much stronger. So I'm quickly going to just sand the bottom of that very quickly. I've got some sandpaper here. So I just sanded that off camera, just very quickly. So it's nice and rough. And I just want to make sure. Forgot, I've got my fingers in still. So yeah, that was the top because of the marker pin still there. So it's like that, and this goes like this on there. So I'll now get 2 little blobs. Very, very small blobs. 1, 2. Yeah, 2 little blobs there, and I think that's that. And I'm just going to get the clamp card in its accurate position, and now I'm just going to leave that. I'm going to leave this whole thing to dry overnight. The whole thing. I want to let the Uhu glue, not the Uhu, the contact adhesive glue dry. But that is our clamp done. I'm going to let that all dry overnight so that we know that it's properly cured. Everything from the JB Weld to the contact adhesive to the super glue on here. We put it to one side now. So we've done the weathering on here, the scorch marks, you could say. We've done the clamp card, and finally we can glue in this last one. So I'm just going to get a bit of glue. I'm going to pop some there, just a little bit on the rim. That in. Make sure it's nice and centered. Yep, wipe away any excess. Well, knowing how super glue dries, I'll probably clean it with alcohol after. But we've wiped away any excess now. I'm not going to let that dry. Make sure it's dead center. Yeah, that's it. So we're going to let that dry. All the grips are on. So we could say that is part 1 of converting everything and getting it done. Now, before I forget, just realised we've got our pommel discs. I probably will convert this one to have sound, so I'll use this one, and I'll keep that one for maybe another prop, maybe use it for something else. Put these bags all back. We don't need our glues anymore, we've done all the glues. Okay, Now, this double-sided tape, what I do is I get a little bit like so, and just cut roughly what I need, like that. And you can got a nice brush side to it. And we'll just stick that on there, like that. And we can begin to just trace out the outline of the majority of it. And we'll do the fine finishing touches, maybe with an X-Acto knife, or I might even be able to do it with these scissors if I'm lucky. One less tool to use. Okay, let's see if we can do this. So we might need something more precise. But it doesn't matter if it's not absolutely perfect, because you can, once you remove the backing, it's just like a clear film, so you can't really even see it. Let's take a look here. Take these off. Then I guess you could get something like a X-Acto knife or a sharp blade and just sort of get the bits that are in the corners. So you can sort of fold it over, if that makes sense. Or you can use your knife and get rid of it. If we peel off the back, see what I mean. See, it's like clear. Can't really see it that much. And then we'll get it on the bottom here. Because I'll probably tuck it into the holes a little bit. So I'll line it up to one. There we go. And anything that I see sticking out, you can even hit with some hot air and it will make it shrink. But I'll just usually push it like that. Push it there, push it there. I'm just using my tweezers to push the adhesive in. And it'll give a nice strong finish. Usually what I'll do is I'll just get some hot air and I'll blow in these areas and it will make it shrink so that you don't even see it. So I can actually do that off camera and show you guys the final result, but just doing that, you can see you've got a nice, almost perfect fit there. And that concludes the first part of converting the Graflex to the episode 9 kit. But hopefully this gives you some sort of idea of what you're getting in the kit and what's next. And in part 2, what I'll do is I'll start to do the weathering and just the finishing touches, really, because I've got to let this dry and leave that be for the time being and come back to it tomorrow. But I wanted to get part 1 up this weekend so you guys could see that the wheels are in motion for getting this finished. And yeah, I think you'll all be pretty happy with the kits. Well, I hope you are anyway. And I'll update you guys again soon. So thanks very much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.